major ruling involving the Second Amendment.
As the nation deals with a recent wave of mass shootings, the Supreme Court expanded gun rights.
Will allow scrutiny for all gun laws pertaining to everything: assault weapons, age restrictions, restrictions on magazines.
Public safety concerns must be addressed in ways that are lawful.
This is an issue that every gun owner should be concerned about, and we in Congress should be concerned about it too.
It also puts state laws in jeopardy that are similar to this law,
aimed at declaring various federal gun restrictions unconstitutional in the state.
The federal government just lost a massive legal battle, and if you own a firearm in America, your life is about to change in ways that will blow your mind. A bombshell December court ruling has completely rewritten the rules on gun ownership, and the changes are so extreme that what was illegal yesterday is now fully protected today. This isn't some minor adjustment or small victory. 10 fundamental laws just got struck down or completely reversed, and the 10th one is so unbelievable that even experienced gun owners are having trouble accepting it's real. But before we get to that jaw-dropping change, you need to understand how we got here and why these new protections are ironclad. The foundation of this entire transformation starts with something called strict scrutiny, and it's the legal equivalent of putting your Second Amendment rights in an armored vault. For decades, courts treated gun rights like second-class freedoms, allowing governments to chip away at them piece by piece. That era just ended with a thunderous crash. When the Supreme Court applied strict scrutiny to the Second Amendment, they essentially told every level of government that gun rights now sit at the absolute peak of constitutional protection. This isn't just lawyer talk or theoretical mumbo-jumbo. This changes everything about how laws work in the real world. Here's what strict scrutiny actually means for you as a gun owner. Any government, whether it's federal, state, or local, that wants to limit your gun rights now faces the hardest legal test in existence. They can't just say they think a restriction is a good idea or that it might help public safety. They have to prove with hard evidence that their law serves a compelling government interest and that there's literally no other way to achieve their goal without trampling on your rights. The burden of proof has completely flipped. Before this ruling, if the government passed a gun restriction, you had to go to court and prove why it violated your rights. Now the government has to prove to a judge why their restriction should be allowed to exist at all. Most gun laws can't pass this test, which brings us to the second massive change that's sending shockwaves through law enforcement. Police departments across America are scrambling right now because the shield that protected them from accountability just shattered into a million pieces. For years, officers could violate gun owners' rights with almost no personal consequences. They'd hide behind something called qualified immunity, which basically meant they couldn't be sued unless they violated a clearly established right that any reasonable officer would have known about. That protection is gone, completely wiped out when it comes to Second Amendment violations. The court's message to law enforcement couldn't be clearer. If an average person would know that confiscating someone's legal firearm or arresting them for lawfully carrying is wrong, then police officers are expected to know it too. This isn't just about lawsuits anymore. Officers who violate gun rights can now face personal financial liability, meaning the money comes out of their own pockets, not the department's insurance. They can face federal civil rights charges, they can lose their careers permanently. The days of police treating legal gun owners like criminals without consequences are officially over. But that's just the beginning. The third change addresses something that's been terrorizing gun owners for years, and it's about what happens to your firearms when the government decides they want them. Red flag laws have been spreading across the country like wildfire. These laws let someone claim you're dangerous, and suddenly the police show up at your door demanding your guns. No crime, no charges, no trial, just someone's word against yours, and your constitutional rights disappear. The Supreme Court just put a sledgehammer through the entire concept. The ruling is crystal clear. The government cannot seize your firearms without charging you with an actual crime. Period. End of story. No more taking guns first and figuring out the legal stuff later. No more holding your property while they investigate. No more guilty until proven innocent. This extends beyond just red flag laws. Civil asset forfeiture for firearms is dead. Those situations where police would say they're just holding on to your guns during an investigation are finished. If they want your guns, they need to arrest you, charge you with a crime, and prove their case in court like the Constitution demands. The fourth change might be the most shocking privacy victory gun owners have ever achieved. For years, the federal government has been building secret databases of gun owners, and they've been doing it in violation of federal law. The court didn't just tell them to stop. They ordered the complete destruction of these databases within 90 days. Every digitized record the ATF has been keeping on law-abiding gun owners must be wiped out. No backups, no archives. complete deletion with proof of destruction required. States that have been feeding gun owner information to federal agencies have been ordered to stop immediately. The practice of maintaining searchable databases of who owns what guns is now officially recognized as the illegal gun registry it always was. This isn't some future promise or gradual phase-out. The 90-day countdown has already started, and federal agencies are scrambling to comply. Decades of illegally collected data on millions of gun owners is about to vanish forever. The fifth major change affects anyone who's ever tried to get a concealed carry permit in a restrictive state. The nightmare of waiting months or even years for approval while your application sits in bureaucratic limbo is over. The court has imposed strict new rules that every state must follow. Carry permits must be processed and issued within 30 days, not 30 business days, not 30 days unless they need more time, 30 days period. If your application has been sitting for months, this ruling just lit a fire under your state's permitting agency. Even better, states can no longer demand that you provide some special reason for wanting to carry. Your constitutional right is the only reason you need. Those requirements to show good cause or prove you face some unique threat are gone. The right to carry for self-defense is now recognized as the default position, not some special privilege the government grants to a chosen few. The court also capped permit fees at $50 maximum. States that were charging hundreds of dollars to price regular people out of their rights just lost that weapon. Constitutional rights can't be reserved only for the wealthy.
Businesses are welcome to put up signs that say this is a gun-free zone, but if you don't, then it's expected that you are able to carry on that property.
This ruling strikes down a New York law that put restrictions on who could get a license to carry a gun outside of the home.
State can't make everywhere a sensitive place. You can't go hiking in some places and not be able to defend yourself against somebody that you run into.
The Supreme Court struck down a New York law that required people to show a special need to carry a concealed gun in public.
The sixth change addresses something most gun owners didn't even know was happening, but it's been going on for years. Government agencies have been digitally stalking gun owners, and the court just pulled the plug on the entire surveillance program. Federal agencies were tracking when you visited gun stores, logging your online ammunition purchases, monitoring your firearm-related internet searches, and even building profiles based on your social media activity. All of that surveillance is now banned. The court ruled that exercising a constitutional right cannot be used as justification for government monitoring. Your phone's location data is protected. Your credit card transactions for legal gun purchases are private. Your online activity related to firearms is off limits without a warrant based on probable cause of an actual crime. The era of treating gun owners like suspects just for owning guns is over.
The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
The House would keep gun owners' information private.
We want to see Congress pass laws that will help reduce crime without infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens.
Government may not regulate individuals' possessions of weapons for self-defense.
The seventh change is a massive victory for anyone in the gun business. For years, the ATF has been accused of using vague rules and nitpicky inspections to harass and shut down gun dealers. The court just put them on a very tight leash. Gun businesses now have the same protections as any other lawful industry. The ATF can't revoke licenses for minor paperwork errors anymore. They need actual criminal violations. Those surprise inspections looking for gotcha moments are done. New federal firearms license applications must be processed within 60 days instead of dragging on for months. If you've been thinking about getting into the gun business but worried about arbitrary government harassment, this ruling changes the entire landscape. Legal gun businesses can now operate without the constant threat of being shut down over technicalities.
They really don't know what to do with this one, which is always a good thing to see.
ATF and the government is going to fight this every step of the way. And sooner or later, it will land before the Supreme Court.
25 states have joined a lawsuit with the NRA going against the ATF pistol brace rule.
Basically, they kicked the ATF in the teeth. They seem kind of punch drunk. They seem as though they got the bell rung pretty bad.
The ATF overreach has been stopped once again.
The eighth change brings common sense back to ammunition purchases. Several states had turned buying bullets into a complicated ordeal with background checks, purchase limits, and bans on online sales. The court recognized the obvious truth that a gun without ammunition is just an expensive paperweight. California can no longer require background checks for ammunition purchases. New York's ban on online ammunition sales is dead. Connecticut's purchase limits are gone. Illinois can't require serial numbers on every round. Buying ammunition is now treated like buying any other legal product, which is exactly what it should have always been.
There is a difference between states deciding how they want to regulate any number of things versus stripping people of their rights to self-defense.
Saying setting a higher threshold in an emergency could mean life or death.
The Second Amendment protects the right to carry a gun in public for self-defense.
The panel's majority ruled Friday that the law banning magazines holding more than 10 bullets violates the constitutional right to bear arms.
Any law enforcement officers in California, including feds, you are absolutely prohibited from enforcing restricted magazines ownership in California, regardless of when they were purchased.
Red dot optic is just like this magazine. It makes the firearm more dangerous when it's misused, but it also makes the firearm work better.
The ninth change strengthens your rights at home more than ever before. Federal agents can no longer show up at your door for surprise compliance checks just because you own firearms. Those warrantless visits that collectors and gun owners have endured for years are finished. If agents want to inspect your firearms or your property, they need a warrant based on specific criminal allegations. Your home is your castle, and your Fourth Amendment rights fully protect your Second Amendment rights. The days of federal agents thinking they can bypass the Constitution because guns are involved just ended.
What's it take for an officer to determine there's an emergency and then enter into your home?
Police showing up at the wrong address or receiving bad intelligence, storming in, damaging a house, traumatizing a family, and then having no responsibility for their actions.
This is something that actually comes from common law England, the idea that the king is sovereign and the government has to waive that sovereign immunity, which the United States Congress did.
Loophole the police are using to get inside your home without a warrant. But a unanimous Supreme Court ruling gives you the power to stop them.
Now we come to the 10th and most shocking change of all. For years, gun owners have lived in fear of traveling through certain states. Drive through New Jersey with a legally owned gun and you could end up in prison. Stop for gas in New York and risk arrest. That terror is over. The court has created what amounts to a federal safe passage guarantee. If your firearm is legal where your trip starts and legal where it ends, you're protected for the entire journey. You can stop for food, gas, or even stay overnight in a hotel without fear of arrest in restrictive states. But here's the part that's truly mind-blowing. If you have a valid concealed carry permit from any state, you can now carry your firearm on your person throughout your entire trip, regardless of local laws in the states you're passing through. The court has essentially created constitutional carry for interstate travel.
This case could reshape how far states can restrict your right to carry and where.
When things sound really good for gun owners in court, that doesn't mean it's over.
The majority of the court ruling the Constitution protects a person's right to carry a gun outside the home.
As we all know, that searches require, under the Fourth Amendment, a warrant.
These 10 changes represent the biggest expansion of gun rights in American history. They're not proposals or possibilities. They're the law of the land right now. If you found this information valuable, make sure you subscribe because more changes are coming and you need to stay informed. Drop a comment and let me know which change shocked you the most. I'm betting most of you will say number 10. Hit that like button to help spread this crucial information to every gun owner who needs to know their rights. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.